Hi there, my name is Kate, and this is Messages of Love 711. Welcome. Today we're going to be asking the questions: Are you a starseed? Are you a lightworker? What's the difference? And we're also taking a look at are you seeing repeated messages, patterns, numbers, synchronicities? We're going to be taking a look at these questions and more in this video. So let's start with what's a starseed. So simply put, a starseed is a soul of an incarnated human. That's not from, the soul is not from Earth. It's from another planet and or the higher realms, right? It can be from outside of 3D Earth, which is so limited, right? There's a big, vast existence of more than you can imagine. So not just life does not only live or thrive on planets, right? There's other magical realms. But so that's to say that a soul that is incarnated here in human form on Earth at this time, the soul is not from Earth. It's visiting, it's incarnated into a human body at this time. So it could be you, me, anyone else. Chances are, if you're watching this video, you are a starseed. So a light worker is also a starseed, but a light worker is a starseed that's more activated, somebody who's become aware of their mission and or purpose, and is starting to consciously live the life of walk their path. We'll say consciously walk their path here on Earth, because the reason starseeds and light workers come to Earth and incarnate it into human form on Earth is usually for a mission. And right now there's a huge mission, a huge shift taking place on the Earth. That's required a lot of assistance from other realms. So a lot of souls have come and incarnated at this time for this very specific period of time for this shift in humanity. So if you're watching this and this video calls to you as a starseed or a light worker, chances are you're a starseed, more than like you're a starseed. And if you're a light worker, you're even more likely to be watching this video because you're starting to pay attention to these sort of messages. I've recently was asked about, what does it mean when I start to see repeating numbers, repeating patterns? Do you see dragonflies all the time? Do you see, this little blackbird with the jacked leg, sitting on the fence every day? Do you see a bunny crossing your path? Do you happen to have animals that are highly attracted to you? Do you see 333 or any other combination of numbers, but over and over on the clock or on license plates or anywhere else, right? In your vision. Those are actually signs that are specific to you. So a lot of times people, they say, I see 111 or 1111 or 222 or 333 a lot, and going through all the numbers, and those all have general meanings. 111, for example, can mean that you're on the right path. 222 can generally mean that whatever you're going through or manifesting is being accelerated. So even though they have general meanings, they can have very specific meanings to you, especially if you're consciously creating a meaning that is linked to those specific numbers. But with that said, that's the starseed and the light worker. And those are signs and synchronicities. And when you start to notice those, that's an awareness that you're being activated, right? That you're coming, your awakening is what we call this, your spiritual awakening. And it's kind of propelling you into this world of metaphysical, spiritual. It can come about in a lot of different ways. You can be called, or resonate is a vocabulary that tends to be, that word tends to pop up a lot, and discernment. But we'll kind of walk through this. I have kind of a sort of pattern or a path that I want to follow when trying to answer these questions to see if I can wrap it up in a clean box and bow for us. So as a light worker, you come into this period of awakening, which is kind of like, think of it as you're literally waking up from a slumber, from a sleep, right? You start to realize that we live in a matrix. Not everything is as it seems. And that you are more powerful than you can imagine. You're a manifesting creator being, right? And it's not just limited to starseeds and light workers, although most of us are more aware and have more practice in these application of these sort of creation energies. Humans also, human souls who have incarnated on our earth, also possess these, but are not so or as practiced as a light worker would be, whose soul hails from another place, another time, and who has lots and lots of practice with these exercises. So with that said, as you start to become activated, it's remembering that you have a mission, that you have a purpose. You start to, and it's not always cosmic downloads. You know, some people think that, you know, it's like this beam of light that comes in your head and boom, you remember who you are. It's not always like that. The path can be that for some, but others, it's a lot more of a gradual process where you start to learn things. You start to lean in and hear and listen to people or messages or avenues or any other medium of information that you haven't been called to before previously, but now all of a sudden it starts to sound like something that makes sense to you, and so that's resonating, right? And when you resonate with certain things and you hear certain messages and it resonates for you, it's clear that it makes sense to you because you're in agreement with it immediately. You feel it. It's almost like you just have a knowing that that's true for you, right? It's not, you realize it's not true for everybody, but it's true for you. And then discernment is sort of in that same arena where you can listen or hear or understand, or, you know, receive information in some form. And you use your discernment because sometimes even in the same message, like what I'll be talking about today, some things might resonate with you and other things you might go, that just doesn't sound right to me. It doesn't sound like my truth. So you're using discernment to kind of sort through the information that's coming at you. And this is very innate. This is within you, right? This is your higher self sorting through this and saying yes, no, yes, no. It's kind of a sorting a filtration process, if you will. So this activation creates this shift in consciousness for you, and you start to become aware of the oneness of all, the connectedness of all, that we are all energy beings. As a matter of fact, let me just step into this energy being. We are all energy, and if you break us down even to the smallest bit, the smallest molecular bit, it's even smaller than that, right, than atoms. It goes smaller and smaller and smaller to the tiniest spark of light, right? And then that's energy. We're all composed of this energy. And this energy can break down and be recreated into something else. And what I mean by this is that when we incarnate here, we come from one energetic form. We kind of transition out of that energetic form. And then here on Earth, because it's 3D and very dense, we go through a birth process where we are born from a feminine being, human being, and we then grow up in this incarnated human body that our soul is chosen to be part of, this family, this structure, this environment, right? And in this energy format that we're in, this human body, when we quote die, we exit. It's like just a changing or revamping. It's a transition of the energy, right? When we die, we don't die forever. We die, maybe we pass or exit in our human format, but we still exist on the other side in the quantum. And when I say this, I mean, like, think of this earth, this globe, right? And it's 3D, so we can only see to a third dimensional reality. Life outside of Earth is 5D, and even within Earth, there's different dimensions that exist. Right now, there's 3D, 4D. We're coming into a fifth dimensional realm. And that's what this shift, this grand shift, will be bringing about. That's the reason why all these star seeds have incarnated here to bring about this shift. So when I talk about energy transitioning, so when we're in this 3D human form and we transition or we pass or die in human form, we are just transitioning into another form, right? Whether it's a light being, or you're incarnating on another planet, or you're from the angelic realm and you're going back to the higher realms and you're going to hang out there for a while. It's your choice. It's always your choice, right? But that's the way we are told here and raised to believe that when we die, that's it. Not something I believe in. Use your discernment to see what truth resonates with you. But there's life beyond 3D, right? There's a lot of dimensions. I won't go into that on this video. There's just, life is vast, right? Creation is endless and infinite. So this is just one version that we choose to experience. And in this 3D experience, like the school of life, Earth, the school of hard knocks is for the really deep, dense experiences for our soul growth. It's 3D only. And so what's shared with us is very limited. We've chosen in this 3D environment to experience kind of like an amnesia that kind of disconnects us, or disconnects our knowing that we're connected to God, and we are all a spark of God, right? But it disconnects us from that knowing. So when we are here, we just feel like, oh, we're just humans, and this is what life is. Being born into this family, doing these things, going to this school, having this job. Money becomes kind of a big thing, on 3D Earth, because you can't quite magically manifest. So money becomes the way to bring what you want into your circle or your energy field. So this is just the densest version of existence that exists, right? But outside of here, let me go circle back to what existence actually is for us on 3D Earth. When we pass here, we still exist. We exist in another form, and you can still connect to a loved one, an animal, spirit, anything that's passed on. Most of the time they're willing to connect in. It's just finding the way to be able to connect in with them. I won't go into that either on this video, but I just wanted to put that out there. So we've gone over a little bit about incarnation into our human forms. And when you realize this and you start to go through your awakening and you're activated, you understand that there's a mission or missions. Usually a lot of us starseeds like to take on lots and lots of missions. Here, I'll do it. So you start to become aware of this calling or following, and many times it might look like the way you become aware is you'll start to, maybe you feel really called to meditate all of a sudden, and through these meditations, wow, you just get these, kind of like that download, the cosmic download of, oh, aha, it may not look like that, but that's a lot of times what does happen in meditation for many people. You may get information or just knowings. Some people think that it's like you'll hear a voice, you'll hear an angelic voice in your ear, and they'll tell you something. It's not always like that. There may be people that are clairaudient, and they do, but not everybody receives that way, right? Some people in their dream state, they wake up and they remember things from their dream state, or some people, and just in a really relaxed state or in meditation, they just have a knowing all of a sudden. There's just a absolute knowing of something. There's no doubt they haven't heard anything. It's almost like a memory that was implanted there. That's also a thing, right? It could come through others. Usually it's recommended that you go with you, You seek truth through you, right? But it's also, if visit a medium or a quantum healer, maybe does beyond quantum healing, or any medium like that, they can also kind of give insight or help you to connect with your higher self to get a better understanding or more detailed understanding of your mission here on earth. So there's lots of ways. What feels right and the path you take you'll be guided, right? You'll start to just be attracted to things or information that maybe you weren't before, and you'll be there for a while. It might resonate for a while, and at some point you think, okay, maybe you outgrow, right, that format or that information that's coming from that person or that source, and then you might go along a little bit further down the path, and you start to say, oh, this person is interesting, this information just totally resonates with me, it makes sense to me, it's so much my truth. And so you start to climb, like I like to refer to it as like the ascension ladder, where you're like, okay, this isn't where I'm at here. I go a little bit further, and it's not like going up, it's just going further, it's going beyond where you were before. And then you go here, and you go on this rung on the ladder, and you go on this rung on the ladder, and you go on this rung, and as information starts to resonate and then not resonate, and some information from the beginning may resonate fully with you along your whole path. But for many of us, it's stuff that you start out watching a certain person, for example, on YouTube, and they're super interesting at first, and then you get this to this point where you've outgrown the information, and it may still be true, but you're like, okay, I totally understand. They're not really expanding anymore on what's kind of in their scope of knowings, and so you're craving more. So you start to seek out others who have different information, and so that's the path that you'll be guided. And a lot of times you think it's just you. It's a spiritual team that you have as a starseed. Ancestors, the angelics, whoever that you work with on the other side, and you don't consciously, in the beginning, it's not like it's a conscious thing that you're aware of, that you're working with these beings or entities or energies on the other side, but they are always guiding us as starseeds. We are here at a very important mission, and they're protecting us, loving us, guiding us, and at some point, if you're able to, they try to connect with you, and that's when you see signs and synchronicities and numbers, repeating numbers. This is mostly your team getting your attention for something. So what I also wanted to talk about is your heart space. When this shift for you happens, this awakening and this activation, you start to, I would call it, feel into things a little differently. It's not as logical or cerebral, right? It can be more you're feeling through your heart space, your heart chakra. And as one of my guides has said, at one particular point in my journey that was very, very tough, I was going to confront something in my life that was going to be challenging for me. And I was just advised to do it in the vibration of love. And what that means is being totally in your heart space. No matter what you feel or know about this person or this situation, addressing it with love as if it was an angel itself, right? Open with total forgiveness, if any is needed, right? Depending on the situation. And as if you were going to be having that same conversation with yourself or something you love just as much as yourself. Child, a pet, a loved one, right? It's putting aside any feelings that you might have regarding this challenging situation and just addressing it with pure love and compassion. It's really takes practice. It takes a lot of practice. But it's something that once you can get to this point and you can elevate and raise your vibration, raise your own frequency and vibration to this point of sitting in a space of your heart space and kind of filtering anything that comes from you, any communication that comes out of you through your heart space, it's a life changer. It's an absolute life changer. I'm a peacekeeper by nature, Libra ascending, and a Cancer sun. I tend to be pretty diplomatic, but even so, I had my moments where I think being in a love vibration during any certain circumstances or conversations would have been very valuable for me. But that lesson has come later in my life, and I've seen the true magic that comes as a result of being successful in this practice. Letting all things go, releasing the programming of how you should react, and it's more like it really is surrendering the ego. Bye-bye. You know, the ego is such a trap. It really is. It's useful and beneficial, just like everything else in moderation. But the ego is not the primary source of us that we really want to address most situations from, right? It's up to you. It's totally up to you. But using the heart space, being in a love vibration, provides a perspective and actually a very useful and helpful tool to improve your life, your relationships, raise your vibration, right? With that said, and that goes a little deep. This is all deep, but that goes really, really deep, right? That touches at the heart of everything, literally the heart, right? This ascension process is just an expansion of your consciousness. You're just becoming aware of all the things that were always, but as you raise your vibration, as you begin to raise your vibration, you gain access to higher dimensions. And as you gain access to higher dimensions, it's like being able to put on goggles and see, oh, all of this exists in 4D, and oh, this other lens that you apply on top, all of this exists in 5D, right? You just see things very differently, things that were always there, but all of a sudden you notice and you're like, how did I not see this before? It was in my face. Well, that's what your vibration does, right? That's what this expansion of your consciousness does. It gives you the vision to see the things from a very different perspective and from a higher perspective, right? A higher dimension. So we've talked about discernment. The other thing I wanted to bring up around discernment, sort of kind of related, is when you start to feel into, right, using your heart space not only as an outward expression, but a filter for incoming expression or communication. Boundaries are important, and it's not selfish. It's not useful for people to tell you that it's selfish when you put up boundaries for them or anybody else. Boundaries is something that you know if you need them, right? Nobody else is in your space or has your energy or is surrounded by the energy that you're surrounded by. You know your truth. You know what you need, right? And this is more of like waking up and going through an ascension process is like learning to love yourself in the deepest, most beautiful way, right? You become your biggest fan, really. And that's not selfish. That's the best thing you can do for yourself. Because once you become this person who loves themselves and who values themselves, you become the best version of yourself. And when you are the best version of yourself, you're able to be a brighter, amplified beacon of love and light for all of those around you. And that's so beneficial, especially in the climate, kind of like the societal, political every type of climate we're experiencing, excuse me, right now. This is beneficial. So setting boundaries is part of this, right? Knowing where you need to set the boundaries. Just because somebody is your mother, just because somebody has been your best friend since childhood, just because somebody is married to you or in any other relationship capacity, does not permit behavior that is anything other than love, right? Or anything other than spoken from heart space or felt from the heart space. Boundaries are important for those whose energy is not necessarily a match for us at the current time or the current space that we're in. And sometimes can feel like it's holding us down, holding us back from progress. It can feel uncomfortable. It can feel toxic even. It can feel so many ways. But if it feels anything other than good or helpful or useful or beneficial to you, then it's not obligatory that it stays in your field. Please know this. You are in charge of you and your space and your energy and protecting your energy. Your energy is your currency. It's your value. So if you don't respect your currency and your value, it will go down. And those that you choose to surround yourself with, they can affect your currency. So if you're vibing high and you start to surround yourself with people who don't limit their maybe aggression towards you, or just they don't watch their words with you, or they're not loving with you, or anything else, anything you can think of that's low vibrational, they come into your field and they can start to affect your field. And what happens is not only do they come in and affect your field, but they can start to take from your beautiful high vibrational energy. And sometimes we refer to those that do that in excess as energy vampires. So boundaries are really, really important with this type of situation. And it's not just related to personal relationships. It can be at work. It can be people that you deal with in the store. You just learn to protect your energy and set clear, healthy boundaries. When you love yourself enough, you start to see the value in setting these boundaries for people that societally people tell us, oh, you could never cut off your mother, or you should never cut off your brother, or you should never cut off this whoever, right? XYZ. Well, I tend to not agree with that either. It's up to you. If that resonates with you, wonderful. If you're using your discernment and you think that doesn't feel right, wonderful too. Whatever you're ready for, right? Whatever is truth for you. My truth is not always the same as your truth, and that's okay. That is the multidimensional reality that we live in, that is so vast and so beautiful and so complex that this video is just simply not going to cover all of it. But it is here to plant some seeds for these sort of things that you'll come along to in your path of awakening. So the next thing I want to talk about after setting boundaries that are healthy for you, right? Our spirit guides, I know we've touched on this a little bit. All Starseeds have spirit guides who are our star family from wherever we're at. It may include star family, friends, and other energies, entities, and beings that we've had along our paths. Many of us are ancient souls, which is why we're here incarnated for this big, huge Earth mission. And so ancient that we've just collected friends and loved ones along the way on the other side. And the quantum, when I say quantum, I just mean outside of the 3D Earth. Everything outside of 3D Earth is 5D and above. And so quantum is just anything outside of here. And so spirit guides can be a team. You can have an entourage. I mean, if you have, 3 and that's what you need, great. And if you have 20, great. You've set this up on the other side. Your higher self has determined all these details on the other side, and spirit guides can come and go, and they can have very specific functions for different parts of your life. It's all different for everyone. The other thing that you learn along this path is comparing yourself to another starseed or lightworker isn't always the most beneficial. We're all on different paths. On the other side, we are our higher selves, and we have created this experience for us, for our soul growth, right? And for however we needed, whatever roles we needed to play to complete this mission. So your spirit guides can be, they can be elementals, angelics, they can be ancestors that were here that you had a 3D human life with that have crossed over, transitioned back into a light body or whatever other cosmic or angelic or magical or fairy being. There's so many, it's so vast. We're not going to go into all of that here in this video either, but it can be any of those and all of those, whatever you have set up. And tapping into that is something that will have to come to you along your path, whatever way you want to learn about your spirit team that feels right to you. I'd say for many of us, the journey starts with meditation and just learning to meditate, and then really learning to go deep and start to set intentions, which I can do another video on that, and start to discover or remember the way that we tap into our higher selves, but also our spirit guides. That'll be different for everybody. I personally do this through reading cards. I started out with meditation, dreams, as well as a dowsing pendulum. So I tap into my spirit team in a number of ways, all beneficial and all specific to me. I might also do another video on the dowsing pendulum, because that has been a game changer for me in my awakening path and connecting with my team and validating my experience. A lot of us, when we go through this path, we are like, am I crazy? What is happening to me? I don't know what's happening. And so many of us are surrounded by people that are not on the path, or we're looking for the people that are resonating with us along our path, but maybe they're not quite there. Like the family we're born into doesn't quite follow the same path, and we feel alone in it. So we start to ask these questions and think, oh my God, society has not taught me that this is, maybe society taught me that, tarot's evil. It's bullshit. But society does lie to us a lot and convince us of things that aren't necessarily truth. So you just need to tap into it the way that you need to tap into it and feel what resonates. Speaking of resonates and spirit guides, spirit tribe is another one that I wanted to bring up. This is a beautiful thing. As you start to awaken and raise your vibration through these activities and through connections and through it depends on your path, but as you're activated, you come into these knowings and you start to walk this path and understand a bit more about who you are and what you are, and you become the higher version of you, right? The best version of you. You start to maybe fall away from your old tribe, right? Your group of friends, people that you would tend to choose to spend your free time with. That might start to feel a little bit different. If they aren't on their awakening path, you might be interested in different topics than they are at a certain point. And if you were to ask them, hey, did you check out the magnetosphere yesterday? It was just a poppin'. They might look at you cross-eyed, like, what is the hell? Who are you? So a lot of us go through this period of feeling like we have to go really deep inside of ourselves, because there's just questions that we don't feel comfortable asking to the people that we've always shared our sentiments with, right? That our ideas and our thoughts with. So that's a big thing that happens to a lot of us, is that friends can change Friendship dynamics can change in a beautiful way as well, and so can relationships and family. Um, Sometimes in families, you can connect over the fact that, oh my God, you're awakening too. And then you become like, it's like this little secret bond that you have with somebody else in the family who is also going through this and asking these same questions and trying to figure out, am I crazy? No, I'm feeling the same way. So that can bring you together, right? So it'll have an effect on many of your relationships. I've seen really interesting videos where they talk about, can you go through a spiritual awakening in like a marriage, like in a serious relationship? It's difficult because you do change a lot. And there's times when I think I was in like hermit mode for 2 to 3 years. I kind of separated myself from the world. I dove deep into all things metaphysical and mystical and esoteric. And it was just anything and everything I could get my hands on, I would read and explore and go find. And just, I was mesmerizing, and it still is. But then I've learned to kind of integrate that into my new normal life, and kind of like come back to having a different baseline. My baseline was here before, now it's up. It's not necessarily higher, it's just a different place, right? But I have a new baseline, and this new baseline is where I operate from. Okay, so the other thing I wanted to look at is your vibration raises, and as your vibration raises, as we've talked about, it can affect your relationships. As your vibration raises to this beautiful tool called manifestation becomes something that once you're aware of and conscious of, you can work with it and play with it. And it's like learning to play an instrument or sing. You practice it enough, you start to get a lot better at it. And right now we're in these really beautiful energies hitting the magnetosphere, like I said. And they're coming from our galactic teams that are helping to shift the earth to another dimension. And the manifestation abilities, that if you're practicing them, they're like off the chain right now. It's so funny. It can feel magical, It's like you can think, I want this car. I want, this is going to sound really funny, I want one of those classic orange, classic old Ford Broncos. Not like the new Broncos, but like from the 80s. They're really cool style Broncos. I want one of those, And if you really put the effort into it, it's like quicker than ever before, you'll manifest it. This law of attraction will start to bring it to you. It'll be in your energy field, and you'll attract the energy of this towards you. And many of us, actually, from where we hail from, manifestation is as simple as have the thought, it literally creates in front of you. Like, no, I mean, like, I want a classic 80s Ford Bronco. There it is. It's in my, whatever, my yard. It's in my yard, it's my driveway. But on earth, and this is through 3D, three-dimensional, and very dense, like manifestation works a little bit differently. It's like here, it could be a lot more magical. It originally was on earth, but then things got manipulated too much and has changed. However, it's still very dense. And so manifestation kind of here looks more like you think that you think of it and you focus on, I want this burnt orange classic 80s Ford Bronco. Watch, it's gonna end up in my driveway tomorrow. That would be so cool. But then you start to think of it, and then you start to find where you do, I don't know, little extra activities, and the money comes in. You start to think, oh yeah, maybe I do want that. I really, oh my God. And you go drive by a car dealership one day, and there's like, whoa, there is a classic 80s burnt orange Ford Bronco sitting out in the lot. And oh my God, I just happen to have some extra money that I've been saving up from this side hustle that I've been doing. Meant to be. manifestation. That's manifestation in 3D. It's way more magical outside of here, but that's what we've got here, right? That's where we're at. So in this manifestation energy, it works not just for material items. You know, think about, you know, love that you would like to receive, abundance that you would like to receive. There's so much magic in actually your thoughts. Your thoughts are vibrations, your thoughts are energy. And by thinking about them, you can get them to come to you, to align with your energy field is what's happening. So, and with that, it's in your, like, the universal flow. It's like you're aligning with the universe, putting it out there and saying, I want this, and the universe is going to help it. Once you make up your mind about what you want, and you set your mind to what you want to manifest in your life, you start to create that reality because you're aligning with the universe to create that reality. This has gone on longer than I expected. I hope that some of this resonated. If you used your discernment, congratulations. Thank you for tuning in. And if you would like to like, subscribe, share this video, I'd be thankful. Many blessings to you on your journey.